Macbeth is a timeless tale of ambition. Considered one of Shakespeare's greatest works, it follows one of the most famous tragic heroes in all of classical literature. So what if I said, okay, I know it's a Minecraft server, but Tubbo's presidency arc on the DreamSMP is actually an allusion to Shakespeare's Macbeth. Let me explain. The Tubbo-Macbeth parallels first came to my mind during a conversation that Ghostbur and Tubbo had after Doomsday.
Man,
Where'd you get that suit from?
you made it for me, Gosper.
I did?
You did.
Oh. It looks very nice on you. It looks good on you. It looks
Thank
like
you.
it looks like you're filling in some big shoes. Looks
I
like
actually have very, very small feet.
Yeah.
If you happen to have a good English teacher, you may be making some connections yourself. In Act 1, Scene 3, when Macbeth gains the title of Thane of Cawdor, he says, quote, "The Thane of Cawdor lives. Why do you dress me in borrowed robes?" Similar phrasing appears in Act 2, Scene 4, when Macduff says, "Adieu, lest our old robes sit easier than our new." Now, assuming you had some top-tier Socratic seminars in high school English class, you might remember that borrowed robes represent Macbeth's new position as king. Macbeth obtained his power through treason. He killed King Duncan and, as a result, wears robes that are not his. They simply don't fit, as Macbeth is not meant to be king. Thinking back to our conversation between Ghostbur and Tubbo, we see that Ghostbur specifically comments on Tubbo's suit, the garment of clothing he's wearing, saying that it looks like he's filling in some mixed shoes. Tubbo disagrees and says that he has very small feet, which means that the clothes he's wearing that signify his power don't fit him, just as Macbeth's robes didn't fit him. It's also extremely telling that Tubbo says that Ghostbur is the one who made him the suit. Wilbur dresses Tubbo in borrowed robes, literally by making Tubbo a suit, the same exact garment that Schlatt is known for having worn while in power, and figuratively by handing Tubbo the presidency after Tommy rejects it. Tubbo, like Macbeth, takes power in a completely treasonous way by overthrowing the government in an undemocratic coup and seizing the presidency for himself after the former ruler dies. There is no election, he is simply the next person in line for the metaphorical throne. But Tubbo doesn't do all of this alone, and neither does Macbeth. If we're doing a Shakespearean analysis, we can't just leave out Lady Macbeth. In the play, Lady Macbeth is Macbeth's wife. She is the one who plants the seed of ambition in Macbeth's head and first convinces him to kill King Duncan. She's a manipulator who plans the murders of people in power in order to keep Macbeth in said power. Tubbo obviously does not have a wife, but I do think that he has several Lady Macbeths. Wilbur is one of them. As we discussed, Wilbur organizes the coup that takes down Manberg and hands Tubbo the presidency. But Lady Macbeth controls Macbeth and his country behind the scenes. She spends time guiding him and plotting murders to secure his grasp on his power. Remind you of anyone? That's right, Big Q's in the fucking Shakespearean analysis now. But honestly, the parallels are kind of weird. They're both manipulating people in order to keep them in power for their own gain. Not to mention the blood parallels! In the Scottish play, Lady Macbeth famously washes blood off her hands after touching the daggers her husband used to kill King Duncan. She goes mad with guilt, constantly scrubbing her hands long after they're clean and just watch this clip.
You know?
Yep.
Because if that was blown up, that would be a sign that maybe, maybe everything's on the way out, maybe nothing's sacred,
That's
maybe
true.
maybe you're never gonna clean the cranberry sauce off your apron. Have some blue.
It's dry now. It's hard to get out. I tried with Tide and all of it.
Are you fucking shitting me? In his own Big Q way, Quackity quoted fucking Shakespeare in his Minecraft roleplay. I cannot make this shit up. But wait, there's more. Lady Macbeth aside, other characters of the DreamSMP in relation to Tubbo parallel characters from Macbeth. Obviously, Schlatt is King Duncan. He wore the suit first, he was the sole ruler, he was the first person in power to be killed in order for Tubbo, or Macbeth, to rise to power. But throughout Tubbo's journey as president, he has a best friend, just like Macbeth. Banquo is Macbeth's confidant, the person that sticks by him until he grows suspicious of whether or not Macbeth should actually be king. And when the crown of Macbeth is threatened, Banquo has to die. Tommy's exile is a metaphorical murder. It's the ultimate betrayal of a best friend for power. After Banquo's murder, themes of hallucination and visions begin to escalate in Macbeth. Macbeth has seen hallucinations of floating, bloody daggers and heard voices that weren't there, but now Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost. His past is haunting him. Similar themes begin to develop during Tommy's exile.
What?
It's tough.
Where?
I was just waving at Tubbo.
Oh, what the fuck? I'm not siding with a dead man. I'm fucking seeing shit, Dream.
Next up on Macbeth's infamous shit list is Macduff's family. In my eyes, our Minecraft equivalent is Fundy's hit list, mainly Technoblade. Focusing on Techno's execution, the fact that the symbolic death is of a person that doesn't even threaten Tubbo's power is obviously similar to the way that Macduff's wife and children were completely innocent deaths. However, in our case, the reason for killing them is almost less important than the methods that Macbeth uses. These deaths are special because Macbeth sends 3 murderers after Macduff's family, no longer doing his own dirty work. 3 is the magic number, and it's also coincidentally the number of members in the Butcher Army, aside from Tubbo, that is sent to kill Techno. So, to review, our Macbeth, with the help of Lady Macbeth, takes power in a treasonous way from a singular ruler that came before him, donning said ruler's clothes despite the fact that they don't fit. He sends his best friend to die, and the theme of hallucination is introduced. He then sends 3 men after a person that does not even threaten his presidency. Obviously, this is a slippery slope. Macbeth's fatal flaw is ambition, one that Tubbo seems to adopt when he gains power. Though I wouldn't say that Tubbo is similar to Macbeth in personality, he is corrupted by this ambition until, finally, Dream brings Burnham Wood to Dunsinane. Dream blows up Tubbo's prize nation and strips him of his power, essentially beheading him. And thus, Macbeth's story comes to a close at the end of Tubbo's presidency. Tubbo the president dies just as Macbeth died, a tragic hero. And as an added bonus, Macbeth is referenced in Hamilton's Take a Break, and this whole thing did start out as like Hamilton King, so I guess that means something.